One of the things that you had on the list to talk about, and I wanted to ask you too, like just speaking to like, I mean, we've talked about this wellness tech, but you personally, I mean, you've been walking this path of like spiritual entrepreneurship as well, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you want to share anything about like your story in that regard? Because that's been something that's coming up a lot. Like, we're moving in the direction of doing like a spiritual business course as a part of Spirit Mysteries. I'd love to pick your brain a little bit about your experiences, sort of like taking all of this stuff and making it available at all the different levels that you can.
100%. I love this topic, and I'm participating. Actually, one of my best friends here and colleague, partner, let's say, is organizing masterminds of conscious entrepreneurs. And because we're in Bali at the moment, there's a lot of conscious entrepreneurs. And I love this particular topic because of several, let's say, items that I can share with you or that we can discuss. The first one is that this strong separation between your personal or spiritual development and your business life, that's old school. It's not I worked 7 hours a day at work and then I meditate and I read spiritual books and this is me and this is my business. It's not like this anymore. Of course, you can choose to continue to live in a more old-fashioned way, but the offering, what is proposed to you today is you live in a spiritual way, meaning in a way that is dedicated to the upliftment of your quality of life, but also the one of the collective, 24 hours. And it doesn't mean you're meditating or doing plant medicine. It means you're building your business, you're interacting with your clients, you're interacting with your colleagues. All of that, you make it a spiritual experience. So this is for me the first key is, all the teachings, you can apply them with a specific filter, specific lens in your business. And when you build your business, and whatever it is, there is always colleagues and clients and an area or a sector and so on. You do it with the idea of, I'm going to make this a spiritual practice for me. So on the personal side, of course, there is the interaction with people, the triggers, the way you consider yourself, your own limiting belief of what you can achieve and blah, blah, blah. So that's great because it's material for your growth, but also the business itself. How do I make it so that this business, when it's working into the world, when it's interacting with people and other business, how can I make sure that it's having a positive impact? Not an offset of like, I take the plane, I pay €3 more, I'm offsetting my carbon imprint, but a positive one, meaning after this business has acted into the world, the imprint that is left is more coherence, more, let's say, positive energy for people or for the society. And why would we do that? Because you can have a successful liquor shop and selling alcohol, and you can be successful in the old terms, in money and fame and so on. But it's not aligned with the new grids of the new earth and the new way that we're interacting. Today, I strongly believe, and I have many confirmation from different aspects of life that tell me that if you play the game in a collective way, so really what I'm bringing into my business, it is, of course, for living my life and being able to put food on the table and so on, but also in a way that is positively impacting the world, then it will work better. This I am convinced. One way that I can share my own experience, it's like, I don't like to say it's a trick, but it's an offering, it's a proposition for you guys. If you really want to go like a little bit further on the spiritual side, is I have my business and I make a contract with the invisible forces, the invisible realm, with the source, if you want to connect to source or your angels or whatever, and you say, I want to play this game in a different way. If you help me from your side to be more successful, to have more reach, more growth, I will commit, for example, for me, I chose 22% of all my earnings giving back to local communities, projects that are helping something that is, donations and so on. And And this way, if you understand what it is, my wife is saying you're hustling with God. And I say, okay, you can see it like this, but you can also see it that it's a beneficial partnership, because the more success is being brought to you, the more you automatically give back as a percentage. And me, I see it as a way to co-create in a new way. And that's part of, for me, conscious, let's say, spiritual business. So I just wanted to throw in those two different aspects, my own, let's say, action on this topic, and the fact that today the business life should be or can be a spiritual experience for you and others. Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, completely. It's I think it's like the biggest hurdle for. I mean, you've probably seen, we did a spiritual money movie for Spirit Science, right? And it was very like, I mean, a lot of people were really like on board with the idea. And actually, it was still overwhelmingly positive. But there were those people who were like, I sold out, you're doing the, money and spirituality don't go together. And it was for those people that we made that in the first place, because that used to be my mindset, because I listened to those people. And so it all comes full circle. But like the integration of like, it's not that you're running a spiritual business, but it's that you are living your life with the deepest level of passion and purpose that you can. And that naturally bleeds into everything that you do, whether it's running a business or playing video games. And I that one's very fresh in my mind, because this is the conversation we're having of like, I mean, online gaming is such a big community, and we were like, can we use that platform? Like, because there's some of our team members that enjoy games, but it's like, can we use that platform to raise consciousness, to have like an enlightened gaming experience? Because there's a lot of toxicity there. It's the same thing with business, is there's a lot of toxicity in business. But can we do it in an enlightened way? And if we can, like, we can raise the consciousness, that we can raise the frequency of that area, and lift it all up. So I fully agree. And I think it's really about like the union of like that. Well, really, it's like the left brain and the right brain, and finding like the creative things you love to do, the businessy structures that are required in order to do it as like an entrepreneur, and synthesizing those with the heart, so that it's a natural, loving co-creation that you're doing both through yourself and with the world, in whatever way it is that you operate, that you do things.
I love the way you just put it together. It was so beautiful. It was perfect. I was like, wow, I'm taking this with your consent for my own understanding of it. Now it's beautiful, and this is the way. It's the way of the heart, and your reality starts with you, business life, relationship, friendship, blah, blah, blah. It's all you interacting. So the way that you decide to show up in life, if you want to do it through the heart, with vulnerability, with benefit of the collective in mind instead of personal gain, then everything is infused with a new coherence, with a new grace. You mentioned grace earlier. Isn't that so beautiful? Like, grace is kind of like this mystery energy that is helping you out of nowhere if somehow you meet some criteria. I mean, it's so cool, It's like, is the divine saying, thank you, I resonate with what you're doing, I can help you this way. Up. So beautiful. Right.
It's like there was a moment in my recent trip to Rhythmia with the ayahuasca that there was this experience I was having of just sort of experiencing like the goddess, the creatrix, if you will, and being just so like kind of like, wow, like just in awe and gratitude for like the majesty that was happening both in my transformation, that was happening all around me. And I kept repeating, like, by her grace, by her grace, this is possible. And this kind of reminds me of like states of prayer. Like, you could say also the exact same thing of in the more traditional, maybe Christian, Catholic, or, the Abrahamic faiths, like by his grace, by the grace of God, by the grace of the Creator, all of this is happening. And when we submit, and again, it kind of comes back to that humility and that surrender. It's like when we just are able to be in awe and reverence of the majesty that's around us. It's like that grace, that love, that power moves through you with grace, right? That's why, it's like you can create with grace and ease. It's like a phrase to describe like how effortless something can become when you're really in the flow state of learning it and doing it and practicing it, right? And it all just happens like when you're tapped into love, when you're tapped into the that heart-centered place where everything weaves together within you. Grace is just like the byproduct. It just happens through you so beautifully, and it's just that je ne sais quoi, that special something that happens.
Especially because I'm French, so I love that you just said that.
I did it for you.
No, but this is touching upon a very simple understanding that we have across all traditions, across all sacred scriptures, and across all type of practices. Is why is the heart so important? I mean, it could be one of the 7 chakras, but it could be it could be the solar plexus, that everybody's like, oh my God, this is the sacred portal. But why is it the heart? Do you ever wonder that? It looks like it's the most important chakra.
I mean, I would say, are you asking me for an answer? Is that rhetorical?
We can actually ask you for an answer. I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Well, my answer is that the heart is the balancer, the supreme balancer between the top and the bottom, because you've got 3 on each side, and this is that place where like the higher super cosmic infinite consciousness of the crown and beyond merges with like that raw survival, just matter body, of the physical. Because the body, I mean, think about it. A body without any intelligence is like a caveman. It's a very rudimentary system, and the more intelligence you add, the higher and higher consciousness it goes. But like a person who has all intelligence, like the smartest person in the world, can also be like the biggest jerk, because they're not connected to any love. They're not grounded in like the symbiotic relationship of like, you need to take that higher everything and bring it down to the body. And then you have to take the physical connection, the feeling of the body in the lower centers, and have an elevated awareness about them. And all of that, like the information travels up and down through the heart. And as long as it's going through the heart, you have like a symbiotic relationship. And that would be the simple way of describing it.
I love it. I mean, aside from the fact that it's in the middle, and of course it's the merger and the balancer, like you said, which for me resonates 100%. On top of it, there is the idea, the archetypal idea of there is the mother energy, the creatrix, that is manifesting creativity into a tangible way, and then there's the idea, the source of the idea, that is God. And then where are you in that story? But you end up to be in the middle. But the reason why you feel connected to these 2 cosmic imprints is because you are able to feel love. And it's so mysterious, because love is like a 4-letter word that is probably the most discussed in the whole of humanity and probably the whole universe, because it has a magic inside we don't understand. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
And it's the most amazing feeling. And like I was touching upon before, so some scientists like to describe love as resonance with something else, or if you're enlightened, resonance with everything. And it's so crazy, because it means that there is inside you, somewhere hidden, the capacity to enter in resonance with everything in a graceful way, in a coherent way, in an expanding way. And isn't that magical? We can go so far with an intellectual mind, with understanding and working through and making happen and forcing. But at the end, the reason why it's so humbling is that we still don't understand. We still can only be in awe of, oh my God. Like your moments where you are in front of the creatrix or tuning into the creative energy, you're blasted. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. It's so crazy. And this opens the neuronal pathway for you to remember what you felt, because actually right now, talking to me in your office with your cup, it's still there. The same amazingness. It's just harder to tune into it, but it's there. And you
Yeah.
very far in life if that's what the Indian gurus are saying, the enlightened ones. They say you can look at a cup of coffee and you can just look at it as if it's the most beautiful sunset. And you're like, yeah, in theory, but I cannot do it. I still find it much less beautiful than a sunset. But hidden inside you is the capability to see everything as the most amazing thing, the most exciting and most beautiful thing in the world. And for me, that keeps me going. That keeps me going, like, in my life, because I know this exists, this state, and probably there's nothing else you want to experience, because that's like the max peak of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, holy smokes, dude. Very, very well said. I love that. Like I mean, and it's like, it takes a certain level of like practice on your spiritual path to be able to even like conceptualize that, because I mean, if you tried to talk to someone on the side of the road in the middle of a busy city or whatever, right? And you're like, did you know that every single moment is beautiful? I mean, some people might be like, wow, thank you, but other people might be like, you think this shit is all pretty? What the hell is wrong with you, right? Like, you'll get these very polarized answers, because not everyone can really see that. And it's very difficult to see that when you're entrenched in suffering. And we all have suffering. We're all healing different things and going through stuff, right? And some people are deeper in it, or have more right in front of their faces, right? And so we have to exercise some level of like just empathy and compassion for all the different levels of where human consciousness is at, because we really do extend from, very just like blissful states that people live in, all the way down to much more just dense and heavy experiences that we're working through. And we're like this very complex matrix of information, of conscious information that we're moving together as a field, trying to figure out what this whole life thing is and how to work together as a species.